Read the Weekly Prophet. This week I am interviewing my buddy Shaun Lib. Shaun is huge into the music industry. He's a major creator and he has a strong background in the business world. So Shaun, welcome in. If you want to introduce yourself, where you're from.
What's going on, guys? My name is Shaun Lib. I am from Providence, Rhode Island. I'm currently, I'm just making some music. You know what it is, getting everything going. I'm just a guy.
Just
All
a
right.
guy from Providence. All right,
Just
we'll
a
take
guy.
it. Now, let's start with why we're here. I mean, what would interest you about this opportunity? I really like to get, especially as I'm starting out, get in the background. Like, you didn't hesitate very much, and I think I want people to kind of see that. Like, what piques your interest about something like this?
Just in general, just being able to speak, because when you create music, or create art in general, there's not a lot of background information that comes with it. It's usually just, oh, I saw your song and I saw your picture, I saw this, that, and the other thing, but there's no background information that goes with it, and you can't really get a gauge on who the person actually is, or what their mission statement is, or a lot of things like that, and a lot of stuff can get lost in translation when people place perceptions on you based on the split.
Because as a blind eye, I mean, why you're doing it. So, like, as a blind eye, if you listen to an artist you never knew before, like, if I recommended someone to you, but I knew you personally, they're going to listen to your music, and they're going to sit here, and a guy like me has a harder time comprehending it. I mean, as artists, I know you guys try and make it as easy as possible, but a lot of it just comes from who you are.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to listen to your music now that I know you, because I see where those points of view are coming from. I see the stuff you put together, and it makes it a lot cooler. But when somebody's just getting introduced, I mean, it's like, I hope it sounds good.
For sure.
You know?
No,
like,
automatically people already places like these snap judgments on you based on the first thing they listen to, the first picture they see. So it's like, if you can actually do something like a podcast, or and just in general, you can actually speak for yourself and explain things. It's really dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. Let's talk about Providence a little bit, because I know guys from the Northeast. My dad grew up there. I've been there many summers. There's a lot of pride that goes into being from that area. So give me a touch on what it's like being a kid from Providence and coming to this world of Florida, I guess.
It's different. That's one thing I'll say. It is very different. When you're from the upper Northeast, or from that area in general, there's a lot of pride that goes into it. Like you said, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're from here, then you're from here. A lot of people resent it, but until you leave and see the different parts of the world, it gives you a deeper appreciation of what it actually is, because it's probably, the way I kind of describe it, and not discrediting anything, is like, there's New York, and then Boston's a smaller version of New York.
Right.
Providence is a smaller version of Boston.
Yeah.
Which it's all relative.
And Rhode Island itself is just like it's a tight-knit state, man.
It really is. I mean, you can drive through the whole thing in 45 minutes.
I mean, I tell somebody, like, my dad's from Middletown, they're like, oh, I'm 10 minutes from there. I'm like, oh yeah, I usually go to Newport too. They're like, oh, I'm pretty much 10 minutes away from that too. I'm like,
man. I love Rhode Island for everything that it is. Like, everyone, and the thing is, people don't appreciate it and understand the capabilities of it. Because it's like at least it's not even a negative way, but most of the mindset that comes from there, it's like a crabs in a barrel mentality, where everyone thinks, oh, I'm here, I'm stuck here. And I had the same mentality a couple years back before I moved, but now coming out of that shell, in a sense, and seeing everything, it's like, it really has a lot of strengths, and people just aren't.
It's interesting you come to St. Aug, because as a kid who grew up here with parents from the Northeast like that, it's like, it's our own little section of Florida that probably closely relates to that. So, I mean, you're the oldest city in America. It's not a huge landmass of town that you're dealing with. Me being downtown, I go to kids I went to preschool with, I ended up going to high school with. I ended up going down to South Florida with some of them that went to college nearby. I mean, it's that tight. So when I would visit, like, Rhode Island, and we'd go in the summer, it's like, I didn't feel too different. Whereas if I was from, say, Jacksonville, or from Miami, or any of these bigger, more diverse towns, you don't get the same feeling. So it's funny that you came from there to. And speaking of, like, I mean, how long have you been here, man?
I've been here for 2 years.
2 years.
I've been here for 2 years. Actually, 2 days ago it would have been 2 years that I've been here, and it's just I actually was going to college in Miami prior to Corona.
Right.
But I don't know. I felt more comfortable in Miami just because of the city aspect and the melting pot aspect. Because St. Augustine does have those small town qualities.
Yeah.
But it's a very different socioeconomic background.
Yeah.
And a lot of different just a lot of different political views and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
That are from this area. Like I feel like Miami's more of a melting pot and it relates more to where I'm from, but it's a bigger campus.
Right, because Providence versus maybe those smaller towns. I definitely see that. Mm-hmm. So just to give everyone listening, a little background, how me and Shaun kind of got put in. I mean, we knew right away. Like, he kind of just comes in. It becomes a part of some guys I was already friends with. It's kind of how I got introduced to you. They're telling me that like this super chill kid from Rhode Island, like you might be, and then we end up having math senior year, and this is where I know the business side. Yeah. Shaun Lib. I mean, I knew they were all saying you could freestyle, and I was like, I've had buddies that could freestyle. But like, I got the thing. I didn't take it as serious till I listened, and I was like, holy this kid knows what he's got going on. But then we're sitting in class, and this is when Robinhood's first started to come out. Robinhood has been around that long for people who just started investing. Yeah. You guys are, everyone that's getting started this year, you're right at we're hitting the peak of Robinhood. Yeah. So we were just getting into it. We found this app, like we get free stock, like we had no clue.
Actually, the person who put me on a Robinhood was one of my good friends from Rhode Island.
Oh, really?
He was like, yo, get this thing because you get free stock, and I was like, free
money. Yeah. I was like, I mean, there was never this idea of free trades. I mean, pre-Robinhood, you were going, we didn't think about it. We thought that was like the most adult thing ever. Like, I have enough money to go to, an Edward Jones or any of those places and like pay them to trade stocks for me. I mean, pay them to hold my own money.
Yeah.
But now they're doing this free trade thing, and it ran all those companies into E-Trade. Everyone was like, well, I guess we have to do commission-free trades because you can't compete when it's at your fingertips, and people who don't know how to invest are learning how to invest through this platform. So me and Shaun are having this conversation in statistics, and it's a 45-minute class. We probably spent the first 30 minutes.
Shout out Mr. Rannick.
Yeah.
He was heated. He was not happy. Like,
no, he was pretty upset.
Mr. Rannick was a good dude, but at the same time, he was like, yo, do not. He's like, I know what you guys are doing, but just stop it in my class. He's like, just stop. He's like, just stop doing it and pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't
any work.
Exactly. And it's interesting because the world we come up in, it's like learn a skill, don't go in the classroom, and wherever you stand on that. I mean, we're gonna get into this later, but we might as well bring it up now. I mean, there's a lot of guys going into business that are looking up to guys like Gary Vee, and they're looking up to, they're looking at Steve Jobs, or they're looking at, Bill Gates, and they're like, well, those guys started in a garage, why do I need to go to school? Me and Shaun can personally tell you, it's all about the mindset you enter when you're heading into university. So when you're deciding to go to school for business, personally, and you might be able to agree with this, you might not, and I looked at it as, yes, I'm going to school to study business. One trick was like, I'm going to study entrepreneurship and learn accounting and learn finance and do all that. But I'm there not to study a bunch, not to take a bunch of classes, but to make connections. So that free time you have with your easier course schedule, quote unquote, as people like to phrase it, is to go make connections, is to go find opportunities.
Without 110%, because the thing is, like, for me, I didn't even really want to go to college per se, but I understood the outlet that it gave me, and I understood what's the word I'm looking for? Just the different tools and the different. There's a word I'm looking for right now, but it's just, it gives you a different perspective, and it gives you. It gives
different outlook,
and it just gives you things to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't go to college like, oh yeah, well, college. A lot of people say college is a scam. I agree with that to an extent, because if you don't have the right amount of money to stay on campus, and you're not budgeting money the certain way, it can be a scam. But it's all what you get out of it, what you put into it.
Exactly. And it's like, you look at me and Shaun. I mean, guys, we don't go to, these
I'm not going to
highly regarded schools where, we're pumping $80,000 into it. Me and Shaun are on many, many scholarships. I mean, we wanted to make this work. Like,
I'm not on a lot of scholarships. Yeah. But I have enough where it covers.
Exactly.
It covers my credits and stuff.
We made it happen. Yeah. And we put it in And like that's all part of it. I mean, that's us being like, okay, well, let's at least create the opportunity to do that. And I think that's what the show's all about. You know, opportunity awaits. Entrepreneurs are the focal point in opportunity.
That was my thing. That's the reason I moved to Florida in general, because I mean, I was 17 years old and my mom had a job opportunity. Yeah. And she was like, "Oh, do you want to move to Florida?" And in my head, I'm like, I can move my senior year of high school. And I was like, that's pretty scary, but at the same time, I'm thinking like not like being like chauvinistic or anything, but my mindset was like, all right, 5 years ahead, so what can I do? If I move to Florida for 1 year and sacrifice this 1 year of school, then I can automatically get in-state tuition in Florida, have cheaper college, and then
you could end up in a hot spot like Miami. I don't know if that's what you were thinking about.
That was my mindset.
Okay, you already there.
It was like, I already know where I want to go with this. That's a big market. Like that's.
No, I was the same way. I was looking at a bunch of schools, and I was like, you know, put me in. I would kind of have an interest in professional sports, and I think I could use my entrepreneur style brain to advance myself in professional sports, like on the business side. And I was like, where can I go in state that is going to have that? And I end up in Fort Lauderdale, where you're just surrounded. I mean, you got the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Heat. I mean, the Magic 2.5 hours away. Like there's minor league baseball teams down there, the Marlins. I mean, I was like, I'm surrounded by money. So what are the chances I make some of that?
Oh no, really?
You know, put yourself surrounded where you want to be, man. Not necessarily saying I'd want to stay in Miami, but I know I want to be around money. I know I want to be around a diverse culture. I knew I want to be around a huge group of people
without a doubt
that can point me in the right direction, or they may have a different perspective and be like, hey, dude, where I come from, that's not okay. Or when I come from, I would probably do it this way, and that was really, really cool.
And that's what college gives you. In college, and not just college, but moving gives you the perspective on, because if you're stuck in the same position by the same people, then you can't learn any new information.
You can't grow.
You can't grow, because the thing is, we're surrounded by the same people and you're doing the same thing 24/7. It's like, I don't know if I can I swear and say a single swear word on this?
Yeah, no.
So I'm just gonna say, if you're in the proverbial shit, you don't know that you smell like shit until you get out of it.
That's an interesting example.
And that's the way I looked at it, because like if you're sitting around if you're sitting around the same people, then you don't know that there's other things to be seen.
And I touched on this last week. It goes along the same thing. I mean, if you surround yourself by 5 millionaires, you're gonna be the 6th. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, and let's dive right into that. So, Shaun, you were a part of this group that I heard about probably about a year ago called Blue Wave Poetics. It's based on where you're from. Essentially, like he was telling me right before the show started, like maybe it's not like we all make the same music, but you're surrounded by those people that have similar mindsets. So definitely dive right into that, man.
Well, yeah, man. Blue Wave Poetics was actually the same person that put me on the Robin Hood was the same person that kind of the first time I freestyled with them and kind of had like a link up. Yeah. Was shout out Mark Green. For that happening, Blue Wave Poetics was something that it was. 2 kids I went to high school with. That's what it started with. They were called originally a different name. It was a producer and a rapper. My friend Daylon and my friend Connor. Connor's the producer. Daylon was the rapper. Yeah. And it was just I linked up with them, and they were like, oh yeah, well, we want to do something, and we want to have a group of diverse people that have the same mindset. And it wasn't really like a group like a Wu-Tang Clan or something like that. Yeah. But having a collective of people, just supporting each other and being able to bounce ideas off of each other at the same time, where it's like you need that foundation.
Because you just touched on how you're gonna grow. So then you
need a bunch of people working together to have a common goal in order to do that. Yeah. And then last year, where I remember I was literally in the back of remember Mr. Binyako? Yeah. I was in his English, his African American lit class. Yeah. I'm sitting in the back of the classroom, and I seen PVD Fest. 2 more days to enter for consideration. I was like, all right, I'm like, why not? I literally put a thing in. I text Daylon. I was like, do you guys? I don't really want to perform alone. I'm like, do you guys want to perform with me, and we'll do a thing with it? And he was like, word, yeah. And he put it in too, and we both got accepted.
And just for people listening, PVD Fest is like a music festival.
It's a music festival in our city. And for me, it meant a lot for.
In Providence.
Yeah, for me it meant a lot because that was my first big live performance.
Oh, that's cool.
It was where I used to like hop buses at after school and stuff like that. So for me to go from like when I'm 14, 15 years old writing raps in the back of a bus to being 18 years old a couple years later and like at the same place,
and how did you get this notification? I mean, when we talk about like the universe, not to get too in depth, but like the universe kind of brings you what you gravitate. So like whatever you want, you usually attract as long as you're working on it every day.
Sure.
So was this just like an email? I mean, an email in the back of the classroom, or was it?
I was on Instagram just scrolling because I just didn't pay attention.
No, exactly. I mean, a smart guy like Shaun is in the back of the classroom scrolling through Instagram with Binyako, and if you don't know Binyako, he will eat you alive if you get caught for that. So that was ballsy.
He was cool. No, he gave me some leeway because he knew I was smart, but at the same time he was like. He got angry, like, at the beginning of the year I was doing my shit, and then, I don't know, but anyway, I was like, I'm sitting on my phone, and I was on Instagram, and I see, because I followed the PVD Fest page, and I saw that, and I'm like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
I was like, why not? So I was like, bang, bang, put
why not? No,
I did the paperwork, I got all that straightened out, like, it was legitimately contract paperwork type thing, and I was like, I'm with it. Like,
and now you're on stage, some people never met you, like we had hit on earlier, I mean, you put yourself in position to get noticed. So did you just fly out there for a couple of days? Were you there?
I was there for the whole summer last summer.
Right. Okay. So PVD Fest was a summer.
PVD Fest was the start because it was PVD Fest, and then we did another festival called Fringe Fest. They had a 3-night festival. We were the closing act every night at that festival.
Yeah.
Then we did another festival called On the Lawn.
And this is all like Blue Wave Poetics and the team. All right. Cool.
Man,
so.
What's the one thing after another? It just kept.
What's the current state, man? So Blue Wave Poetics, I've been following the Instagram. You know, I saw something about maybe some studio time. If you want to touch on that, just for I've got some people out there that are listening to this, and they're hyped for me to have a guy from that state on the show.
Yeah, man. If you're now open last Friday.
Cool.
Blue Wave Poetics studio in Main Street, Pawtucket. Starting in July, I'll be there as a full-time engineer during the daytime and doing visual art. So if you guys need any of that, go to bluewavepoetics.com, at Blue Wave Poetics.
If you guys need some takeaways from what Shaun can produce for you, man, check out his YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. Some pretty cool music videos. I mean, not only the lyrics are spot on, but it's fun to watch because you see, especially you got the one song Heaven and Hell.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, that's right in the middle of the city. You got shots walking through. I thought a unique detail was you wearing the St. Aug Letterman jacket for football, and you're where you came from. So you're like, this is where I'm kind of at now. This is where I might get back to, and I'm using this to elevate me here.
True.
I really saw that, and I thought it was really cool.
I'm glad that you kind of had that interpretation because I kind of looked at it like that, but didn't process it like that. So I'm glad that someone kind of picked up on that. That's awesome.
That was cool. Okay, so then diving into a little something else. So me and Shaun talked on, a few days ago, and we're going over, where the influence comes from, who we look up to, type thing. I like to do that with all the guests on the show. Shaun mentions Nipsey Hussle, and he mentions Gary Vee. And he mentions Tyler, the Creator. I touched on Tyler last week, a lot of the similarities. So I want to dive a little different route, and this was interesting because we had Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, man. But when he was here, and his influence on when he left was huge. And when he was here, you saw the similarities with Gary Vee, which is why he was a big business guy. Yes, he was an artist, but you watch his videos, just specifically, it's funny, Shaun tells me this, I'm gonna go do my own research, I want to get to know these guys that Shaun's gaining his influence from, gaining his knowledge from, and there's literally a discussion, Gary Vee times by Nipsey Hussle, and he does a sit-down conversation, they talk about hacking culture, they talk about adapting to change, and this was 2 years ago that they're talking about this. And, just a few things I pull away. It was funny I was able to get them on the same video instead of watching two separate ones. It's just, that's how similar they are. I mean, Shaun mentions those two. They go hand in hand. Gary Vee is the Drake of business, just the way he's able to produce and the way and you got Nipsey, who's just this huge culture guy with, all these different outlooks on life, And
that's the thing, yeah. I mean, I look up to both of them. I actually, they kind of coincide together. I watched that same video that you're talking
about. Oh, you did?
about.
Alright,
Yeah, I ended up watching after the fact, but I knew of Gary Vee from years back, just doing my own research and looking into a lot of things, like his videos when he had trash talk on YouTube. That was a really, like, just different things. Like, I was just looking at his model. I read his book called Crushing It. That was really good, and it's just a lot of different things that you can kind of hit on business wise and in your life. Just stop making excuses, stop bullshitting yourself, just being real. And yeah, man.
So he talks about, right when the video opens up, Gary's talking. He kind of highlights and he outlines 4 main things. So he outlines authenticity, he outlines culture, he outlines creativity, and then he's got this platform of culture over money and logistics. So he hits on in that video with Nipsey, and they both definitely agreed on this. Create a culture that people want to be a part of. The money and the logistical side will come. You know, don't be into it because of money or because I can blow up here, I can blow up there. Have your own vibe, create your own culture, and that everything else will come with it. People are gonna follow.
No, without a doubt. That's how you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Because I've had this conversation with multiple people. It's like, it's not even money and culture. It's the difference between money and love. If you do something that you love, the money will automatically come. If you do something for the money,
create that culture where it's like, I want to be a part of something that someone's doing purely out of love to do it. And, you know, this show's a great example. Like, I said it every week. Like, this is not a monetized thing. It's going to create opportunities for me elsewhere. Yes, sure. But my motivation is just from, I did that first episode, I had so much fun. I'm sitting here, I learned more about people I thought I already kind of knew, and you don't get that opportunity anywhere else. You throw yourself out there, you see what happens. You know, I have the opportunity now. I would have never watched a video I would have never thought Gary Vee and Nipsey Hussle would have sat down and did a video. Before Shaun mentions that to me, he's in the rap culture game, Gary Vee's in the business side telling me not to go to college. You know, literally, just polar opposites, but they actually combine. You start to see the connection, which is so cool about something like this, because you got a business guy like me, you got the culture side, and a business guy on your end. Yeah. And that's why entrepreneurship is so broad. That's why this thing is, entrepreneurs come from anywhere. I'm actually on my run today before the show, and I'm thinking, you know, how can I tie this whole aspect, how can I reiterate that entrepreneurs are coming from everywhere? And I kind of created just a new definition. It's anyone who's willing to change the world in their own right, and they're constantly looking for opportunities to change the world. So we looked at music, and you guys as artists, it's crazy, dude. It's like you're producing music that you want to have a message, you want to create a culture, you want to create a brand. Like, that's changed the world for better, and that's how you're doing that as an artist. You're putting yourself out there, you're exemplifying that go-getter hustle mentality. And then you got me with business, and all those people that are involved in business. We're creating a product or service that we'd like to change the world.
Without a doubt.
You know, we'd like to make things easier. We'd like to, you know, make other people's lives easier. And that's why it expands. You got athletes, they go and they perform on live TV, or they do something really well. They prove human strength beyond belief. That's an entrepreneurship mentality. You are changing the way people think.
Without a doubt.
And so it's cool. Artists who create paintings, somebody's going to look at it from a different perspective and then go blow up because they say, I saw this painting and it made me invent this. The guy I had on the show last week, he said he's walking around LA, he sees like this statue or this frame, and he says, that's pretty darn cool. Let me see if I can draw something similar with that similar message, puts it on a t-shirt and sells out of t-shirts.
That's actually, I forget who the quote's from, but there's a quote from someone where it's like, you might not be the one that changed the world, but you might be the spark for the person that will change the world.
Exactly.
And that's the thing,
cool.
is like,
yeah, I like that.
There's a lot of people that you don't even know. There's a lot of people that you influence, or a lot of people that look up to you, and you may never know it.
Yeah.
Like, and you might never get your flowers per se, but there's a lot of people that you inspire, and
you may never even meet them.
And you may never even meet them and never even know. There's people, like some people who hit me up and they're like, yeah, man, it's really inspiring. And for me, it's like, I don't even look at it like that, because I'm just doing what I'm doing, and when people hit me up like that, I'm like, I must be doing something right.
And it's funny you say that.
Just by doing what I'm doing, like that reception, it means a lot, because I'm like, I never expected anyone to say, oh, you're an inspiration to me or something like that, because that's even on the small scale that I'm at, that's a big thing. And I'm like,
it's huge.
It's a lot to kind of take in, and it's like a lot on your
but
shoulders.
It shows you that you're doing something right. And like, so like me with the business in 2016, it was weird. I wasn't paying attention as much, but as that goes on, as I went through high school, I'm starting to see these little startups. I'm starting to have people are releasing t-shirt brands, and I don't know if they're doing it because of me, but I'm sure me putting myself out there and just going all in, whether you got made fun of it or not, I didn't really care, and I still don't. But I was seeing guys, now 5 kids have a t-shirt brand. That was cool for me to see because I was going to take credit for it regardless. And it's just the way you operate in business. But it was funny because I'm starting to see this trend, this kid's, doing drone business, and he's doing this and he's doing that. And it's really interesting because I don't need them to tell me that. I can kind of see it happening. Same with music. You drop stuff on SoundCloud. I got 10 or 15 kids I could call right now that would probably be like, well, it was cool to see Shaun drop something. Yeah. And,
well, I mean,
that lack of fear.
I mean, I don't really look at it like that. In a sense, if you know what I mean? Like, the last video I dropped, you know what I mean? I kind of saw a similar thing from a couple people. But you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not, that's not what it's about. For me, it's like, I don't know, if I can just put something out there and inspire someone, it's dope. But and the thing is, if you know, it's not like you have to go overt and be like, yeah, well, I did this.
Yeah,
I did
no,
that.
exactly.
Like,
you have a general.
And the thing is too, a lot of times you gotta remember the same people that are hating or talking shit or whatever it is. I've had people like that are like, oh, well, blah 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 blah, this, that, and the other thing. But it's like there's closeted haters. There's people that'll do that, and they'll do the exact same thing they're doing, but they'll hate on you because they don't have the balls to do it themselves.
I agree. I mean,
people place their insecurities and their fears and their limitations upon you because they wouldn't do it themselves.
They could gain confidence from putting someone else down. I mean, it's just
and that's just the reality of it. No matter what you do, there's always going to be someone telling you that you can't do it. There's always going to be someone
that you shouldn't. That I don't.
And
it's okay. And nobody has to appreciate it. No. It's our personal. I mean, if you're not personally strong enough to do something like we said because you love it. Yeah. If you really love it, you're not letting outside noise affect you.
Without a doubt.
But yeah, going into it's funny you said if you know it, you got it. Like Gary Vee hits on that in that video is another big point. He says 10 times. He's like, if you know you got it, keep going because it'll catch on. He goes, if you know you got good content, produce it. If you know you got music, I mean, he talks about this example with Nipsey, and he goes, what is this thing with you artists like saying you can only drop a song every 3 years or every year? Like you got to be this limited brand. And he creates this idea. He goes, I think 5 years from now, somebody is going to have the balls to go release a song 365 days a year, and they're going to be big just because they released this. No.
And if you look at Russ, that's what Russ did. Like I was telling you the other day that his book, but he had that whole infrastructure in mind where he's like, he literally sat down. So what he did was he took he made 6 months worth. I think he sat for 6 months or made 6 months worth of content and just released it. And then just released it every week or 2 weeks and just released a song, and that's how he caught on.
And there's devil's advocate to that. I think you have to be talented.
Oh no, without a doubt. Like the thing is, you can't just
producing music that much doesn't make you talented. It does help that you're practicing. Don't get me wrong, but like we still would like to. And he also had a point. I mean, I think 2 years ago he said Drake released 24 songs in 2 years.
But that's the thing. You look at someone like Kendrick Lamar, you look at someone like J. Cole, where they release an album every. The last feature that J. Cole, he just dropped a song yesterday. The last feature he had before that, or song, was in September, and it's June now, and he just released a song. Like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, people like that, they take two to 3 years to produce a record, but those albums are their classic albums. They're not releasing filler music. They're not releasing stuff that's just. They're not releasing easily digestible stuff, and they're not releasing stuff that's going to be gone the next day. Because in the age that we're in, if you don't have something that sticks, then it literally is gone within a week. Because you release an album, and then you're like, oh yeah, everyone's on it for a week, and then next thing.
Oh, I started with the same thing here. Yeah. It's like
that's just
the first one got a ton of views. The second one maybe not so much. Now you have to start creating good content. You have to start creating something that you said sticks, and kind of following into that. About 10 minutes left here, but networking. I mean, we talked about that a little bit when we said surrounding yourself with people, so we don't need to go too far into it. But you mentioned the guy Nick Costa in our
Nick,
preview meeting.
My friend Nick Costa. Yeah.
Kind of say how did you create the opportunity for yourself to meet him? Because I remember thinking that was a pretty cool story, and then kind of say what he was like involved.
Man, he's a very good friend of mine now.
Mm-hmm.
We're still building. I've known him for about a year and a half now.
Producer?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a multi-talented. He's a multi-talented person.
Mm-hmm.
So about a year and a half ago, he released a beat tape, and I hit him up and I was like, hey, I like these beats. I hit him up in a very formal way.
Yeah.
How you're supposed to conduct certain things.
Of course.
Like, obviously, if you're not personally friends with someone, you conduct business in a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And he sent me the beats, and he was like, oh, you're not like other people, and just along the lines of like didn't know how old I was and stuff like that, but he knew I was very respectful, and he knew I knew what I was doing in a sense just by the way that
I saw the hustle
that I was communicating with him.
Yeah.
And we ended up making a song that's Lost in the Sauce. It's on YouTube. And not YouTube. It's on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I'm capping right now. It's on SoundCloud. But yeah, and then that ended up growing. We've linked up a couple times whenever I was back in the city, and man, he's a really he's giving me a lot of insight because he's a little bit older than I am, so.
And he's a more connected guy. I mean,
well, yeah. He's done some things. You know what I mean? I don't really want. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. My man's making moves in silence. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I respect that.
I'm not gonna brandish anything he's got really going on over there because that's his
of course. Yeah.
But he's giving me a lot of information. He's giving me a lot of insight that is very useful. Because he's been through a lot of things that I may have been through already or haven't been through yet. So he's giving me insight.
Yeah, and that's exactly who you gotta put yourself around, in order to advance. I mean, now we'll kind of talk future plans to sort of wrap this up, then I'll hit you with some bigger question at the end. But I mean, where you are now, I mean, where do you kind of see, is this something you think you want to run with? Is it pending on, how you advance, like if you get this big connection or you blow up or something like that, or are you just kind of doing it like you said, because you love to do it, and if it runs out of steam, it runs out of steam, or you think you'll just keep producing,
I feel like all the music I've released.
And it's okay to not know. He's 19 years old.
No. This, and the thing is, I want to assert this because this is something that I want to do, and I want to be in the music business,
right?
In some capacity.
Okay. And
cool. I want to be an artist first and foremost.
Right.
But I feel like I have the skills where I could do what I want to do and navigate based on.
And that shows maturity right there.
And based on where I'm at, that's the thing. It's like I understand being an artist in the music industry or in any industry. Yeah. You have a shelf life.
Right.
You're only allowed to, most people, you have the outliers where you have Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, Kid Cudi, Travis Scott, where you're around for 5 to 10 years and you're a career artist. Yeah. But that's not the reality for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And that's not even being. That's not being negative. That's just being a realist and understanding that. But it's not saying that I can't still chase being an artist while I'm young. It's saying that I'm smart enough and I have enough. Not even being smart. It's I have enough common knowledge and
you have the drive
and enough knowledge that I've accumulated over time to know that I can wear multiple hats if I have to wear multiple hats. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could do these different things. I could go be an A&R if I wanted to be an A&R. I could pursue different things. I haven't completely, I'm not completely in my talent pool yet. I feel like all the music I've released up to this point has just been the training wheels. Right. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just been the training 19. Wheels. That's what I'm saying.
That's how we all feel about it. I mean, that's cool because a big thing I made a point to personally this summer, just to hit on that, is get involved with everything. Something will stick. You'll find something you love, but you don't know until you involve yourself, kind of the way you were talking about, learning these different skills and, but still doing what you think you love. But you still gotta figure something's gonna click. One day something's gonna pop up. I mean, it's the same thing in relationships. I always say, you know. It's
true. That's one thing I'll say. It's just even with I get what you say about do everything, and I'm not saying don't do everything, but do everything that feels right to you.
Right.
Don't. It's not like someone offers you, yo man, you want to do this? It's like no.
Don't say
You don't say yes to everything because that's how you get poisoned.
Right.
That's how you get poisoned.
You don't want to get trapped.
Yeah. it's taking the opportunities and taking the risks that are calculated and things that and you're doing productive things with them and taking a
you
shot
think
at
it's
it.
a way for you to grow. So like, you know, in business I thought learning real estate would be a cool skill, so that's gonna grow. I'm not necessarily gonna go into real estate, but why not? Is it gonna set me back? No, it's not 2 steps back, it's probably 3 forward, just because now you have that skill. Same thing you said, like you're producing music, but you're also learning, you know, you said the music video thing, you got the producing going on in the studio, like
it's
the sound. I mean, you know more about beats and like than I've ever met. I mean, the lyrics Shaun uses, some of his songs are, I mean, it's a gift to think like that, man. I mean, it's cool because the beat may sound relatively similar, but what you say and the message you get across is so authentic. Like
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's super cool. So, all right, man. Another question I wrap up. We kind of touched on it, but 5 years from now, I've got you back on the show. What are we talking about with Shaun Lib, man?
5 years from now. Okay, 5 years from now. I'm definitely gonna have an album out by then. I don't know in what capacity, but you know what I mean. I could be overlooking someone's project. I could be having my own project, but no, fuck that. No. I'm gonna have my own project out.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't want to be on a label, but if I can get a label partnership in something like that, and
start that process.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I want to be. That's where I want to be in 5 years. I want to have that. I want to have an outlook where it's like, okay, I can partner with a label and not have them
maybe a little clearer picture.
Not be in a 360 deal and have freedom and be able to make what I want to make and still take care of my family.
And then we'll be talking about what you're gonna do in the next 5 years to blow up.
Without a doubt. No. I mean, by that point, there should be enough of a foundation. 5 years is a lot of time.
We'll know who Shaun Lib is in 5 years, essentially. All right, man. I like that. All right, bro. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully I'll see you 4th of July when I'm up there. I'll definitely come by the studio. Like we talked about, I'll put the Blue Wave Poetics link in the bio. I've got Shaun's music that'll be there. I'll definitely put the link to this video with Nipsey and Gary Vee. As far as the viewers go, you know, it's been a fun 3 weeks. We definitely will have a show coming this 4th week. Support's been awesome. I think I'm definitely getting my message across the best I can for someone who's new to podcasting. But just, you know, like I say every week, you know, you keep the ball rolling, you know, keep tuning in, like, subscribe, share this thing, you know, tell me your thoughts, negative, positive. I want to hear it because like we talked about, it's all growth experience, and if it sticks, it sticks. But also, thank you guys so much.
Unshameful plug, just throwing it out there. Shaun Lib at Shaun Lib 401 on all social medias, and also if you go look on Apple Music, Spotify, anything like that, just search up Shaun Lib. I got a new single out, Prayed Up. So yeah, man.
Definitely listen to that. It hits on. That's a very relative to the times we're in right now, and like I said, all Shaun's info will be in every description you see, guys. So thank you very much.
Peace.
All right, bro. Not too shabby, probably 40 minutes, but that's okay. I'm not stressing.
Sounds Gucci.